The huge chamber floated high above the peaceful planet called Vara Prime. Stars shone through the clear walls in every direction. The Galactic Council sat in a wide circle made of smooth, glowing stone. Each seat held one representative from an old species in the galaxy. Tall Lyrans, with soft blue light in their skin, sat next to the hard crystal bodies of the Kthara. Slow, heavy beings from the old Concord rested in deep, wide chairs that fit their size. The air smelled clean and cool, like after rain. Today, the council talked about humans. Humans came to the galaxy only 30 cycles ago. The council gave them observer status because humans learned fast and built ships that moved quick. But humans did not follow many rules. They traded without asking. They moved into zones marked as closed, and they built outposts on worlds no one claimed yet. Many species felt angry. The Vrenthal led the loudest voices. Their admirals wore bright red armor and spoke with sharp words. Admiral Kress of the Vrenthal stood tall. His voice filled the chamber like thunder. He said humans act like children who break toys. They show no respect for the long peace. The council built this peace over thousands of cycles. No big wars happened since the Great Silence. Humans ignore that peace. They push borders. They take resources. They laugh at warnings. Kress moved his forearms in wide circles to show how big the problem grew. He asked the council to act now or lose control forever. Other voices joined in. A Lyran named Sira spoke soft but clear. She said humans bring new ideas, but also new danger. Their ships carry weapons the council banned long ago. Their people fight among themselves on their home world. They do not value calm talks like we do. A Kthara crystal being hummed low notes that meant agreement. The old Concord elder nodded slowly. His thoughts came into every mind. He shared pictures of empty worlds after old wars. He warned that humans might start such pain again. The council voted, counted voices, one by one. Most said yes to strong action. Only a few said wait and talk more. The final count showed clear support. They would send one last message to Earth. Humans must pull back from 3 star systems. They took those systems without permission. The council gave 10 standard days to obey. If humans said no, the council would close their trade routes and send ships to block their worlds. Everyone felt sure humans would listen. No young species ever stood against the full council. The old powers held too many ships, too many weapons, too much knowledge. Humans had numbers but not experience. They would bend and say sorry. A hollow image appeared in the center of the chamber. Ambassador Elena Voss from Earth stood there as light. Her uniform looked plain dark blue, with one small silver star on the chest. Her face showed calm eyes that looked straight ahead. She listened to every word from Kress and Sira and the others. She did not move much. She did not frown or smile big. Council finished their long speech about human mistakes. Now the ambassador had her turn. The chamber grew quiet. All eyes turned to the glowing figure. Voss waited one breath, then spoke. Her voice came clear through every speaker in the room. She used simple, standard galactic words, so no one needed a translator. She said, "We heard your message. We will take it back to our people. We will talk about it. You will get our answer soon." That was all. She said nothing more. No promises, no anger, no long explanation. The hollow image blinked out. The chamber stayed silent for many seconds. Then low talk started. Some council members smiled. They thought humans understood the danger now. Others felt confused. Why so short? Why no big defense? Why no list of reasons? The Vrenthal admiral laughed loud. He said, "See, they already shake. They will run back to their small blue world and hide." But one young Lyranade named Tira watched the place where the hollow stood after it vanished. She felt something strange in her chest. She remembered stories her teachers told about humans on their own planet. Long ago, humans fought huge wars with fire and metal. They lost cities and still kept fighting. They crossed oceans and climbed high mountains to win. She wondered if the council forgot those stories. The meeting ended. Representatives left the chamber in quiet groups. They walked through wide halls, lit by soft stars. Some talked about trade deals. Some planned holiday trips to warm worlds. No one worried much. Humans would obey. 10 days felt like plenty of time. On Earth, the message arrived fast. Ships in deep space picked it up and sent it home. Leaders met in a strong room under a mountain. They watched the full recording of the council speech. They listened to every insult and every threat. They saw the vote. They heard the 10-day limit. Generals sat next to scientists, next to old leaders who fought in past wars. They talked for many hours. Ambassador Voss joined them by secure link. Told them what she saw in the chamber faces. She told them the council felt sure of victory. She said, they think we fear them. They think we will fold like weak paper. One general laughed low. He said, then they know little about us. Another leader nodded and said, we always give peace a chance. But when peace ends, we do what we must. Outside, the sun set over wide oceans. People walked in cities and worked in fields and flew in planes. They did not know yet what came next. But in hidden places, ships moved. Ships grew in number. Weapons loaded quietly. Crews trained hard. Messages flew between worlds. No one shouted. No one cried for war. Yet everyone who needed to know understood one fact. The time for words ended soon. Something bigger started. In the council chamber, lights dimmed for night cycle. Cleaners moved soft and silent. They wiped seats and floors. They felt calm. The big problem would finish in 10 days. The galaxy would stay peaceful. Humans would learn their place. The dark between stars. A small human scout ship turned toward home. Its captain sent one short code burst back to Fleet Command. The code said, "Message received. All units stand ready." The captain looked at the black outside the window and smiled, small. He knew what came after 10 days. He knew humans did not break easy. The galaxy waited. 10 days started now. The first 10 days passed quiet and slow. The council members returned to their home worlds. They attended meetings. They ate fine meals. They watched entertainments made of light and sound. They felt sure the humans would send a long message full of sorry words and promises to obey. No one worried much. The ultimatum looked strong on paper. The council had used such words before. Young species always listened when the old powers spoke loud. But day 11 came, and no reply arrived. Ships waited at relay stations for any signal from Earth. Nothing came. The council sent polite queries through official channels. They asked for status. They reminded humans of the deadline. Still, silence grew longer. Day 12 passed. Day 13. Day 14. The quiet started to feel heavy, like thick fog over a calm sea. On day 15, Admiral Kress called an urgent meeting. He stood in the same chamber above Vara Prime. His red armor shone under bright lights. He said, "This silence means fear, because they know they lose." He waved datapads, showing council fleet positions. He pointed to maps of human space. He said, "Our ships outnumber theirs 10-1. Our weapons fire farther. Our shields hold stronger. They will beg soon." Sira, the Lyran representative, listened with calm eyes. She felt different. She remembered how the human ambassador spoke short and steady. She asked, "What if silence means something else?" Kress laughed loud. He said, "It means nothing. They run out of clever words. They wait for us to soften. No young race stands alone against all." Day 20 arrived. The council gathered again. More members joined by Holo. Many looked tired from waiting. One old Concord elder sent thoughts of unease. He said humans move in shadows on their own world. They build in secret, they plan long, they do not rush like we expect. The chamber filled with soft arguments. Some said give more time, others said prepare ships now. Then on day 30, exactly at the hour, the ultimatum ended. Broke through. Every screen on every council world lit up. Every ship comm opened. Every outpost speaker crackled loud. A single voice spoke clear and calm in perfect standard galactic. No face appeared. Only words repeated over and over. A human male voice, strong and even, said to all vessels of the United Terran Fleet, "Condition black. All theaters, humans are going to battle." The message looped 3 full hours. No explanation came. No list of demands. No formal war words. Just that one plain sentence, said again and again. Then it stopped. All channels went quiet once more. Panic moved fast through the council chambers on Vara Prime. Representatives stared at blank screens. Some stood frozen. Some talked loud at once. A Cathara crystal being flashed bright colors of alarm. Its hum rose high and sharp. Syrah touched her light skin and felt cold. Kress slammed his lower fists on the stone table. He shouted, "This is bluff. They try to scare us. They have no real power." Mind, humans are going to battle. Simple words, yet they carried weight like heavy stone dropped in still water. No one had heard such a thing before. No species sent a message so bare. No threats of fire, no promises of victory. No calls for peace talks. Just a fact stated cold and clear. Council intelligence teams worked fast. They pulled every scan from human space. Energy spikes showed on Sol planets. Huge surges came from Mars and Luna. Shipyards glowed hot on deep scans. Civilian haulers changed course fast. Many docked at hidden stations and left again, heavier and faster. Drones launched in swarms from asteroid belts. The Council had maps of human worlds, but now those maps looked wrong. Old data showed small fleets. Now fresh scans showed movement everywhere. A young analyst from the smaller species, called the Zin, stood up. She spoke with shaking voice. She said, "Look at the words again. Condition black. That is their highest alert level. All theaters means every front at once. They do not gather one big fleet. They spread out. They hit many places. They do not wait for us to choose the fight." The chamber grew louder. Voices mixed in fear and anger. One Vrenthal officer said, "Send the blockade now. Crush them before they move." Another said, "Wait. We do not know their plan." The old Concord elder sent a strong thought that silenced many. He showed old memories from the Great Silence. War started with bold words, but this felt different. Humans did not boast. They just told what they would do. Far away on Earth, the same message played on every ship bridge. Crews heard it and nodded. They knew what condition black meant. Lights turned red. Alarms sounded soft but steady. Captains gave orders. Crews moved fast. Engineers checked weapons. Pilots ran final tests. Marines loaded gear. No one cheered loud. No one looked scared. They worked like people who trained for this many times before. In deep space, a human frigate named Dawn Runner picked up the broadcast. Reyes listened once. She turned to her crew and said, "You heard it. Time to move. No more watching. No more waiting." Engines flared. The ship jumped toward a dark nebula. No council ship followed yet. They did not expect humans to use such paths. Back at Vara Prime, the council tried to send new messages. They broadcast on every channel. They asked for talks. They offered to extend the deadline. They said, "Mistakes happen. We can fix this." No answer came. The silence returned deeper than before. Night cycle began on the orbital chamber. Lights dimmed low. Cleaners moved again. They wiped tables and seats. They heard whispers from remaining members. One Lyran aide named Tira sat alone. She pulled up old files on humans. She read stories of their past, wars on their blue world, wars with machines, wars in space against pirates. She saw pictures of burned cities and rebuilt towers. She saw faces that lost much and still stood tall. She closed the files and stared at stars outside. Words, humans, are going to battle. Not we declare war. Not we threaten you. Not even we defend ourselves. Just a simple truth, like saying the sun rises or water flows down. They stated what would happen. No question, no doubt. The council chambers emptied slow. Representatives left for their ships. Some ordered fleets to ready. Others sent families to safe worlds. Kress stayed last. He looked at the empty human podium. He felt anger, but also a small cold fear. He remembered how the ambassador smiled faint at the end of her short speech. Now he understood that smile. 30 days passed since the ultimatum, and the galaxy heard the truth. Humans did not beg. They did not run. They prepared. They moved. They spoke one sentence that changed everything. Somewhere in the black, a human scout ship sent a quiet ping back to command. It said all units in position, eyes open, hands ready. The captain looked at distant stars and felt steady. The wait ended. The next move belonged to them now. Waited too. But their wait felt different. It felt like waiting for storm clouds to break. It felt like waiting for something unstoppable. Something that did not explain itself. Something that simply came. And when it came, no one would forget the day humans said they were going to battle. The first strike came without warning, and without noise that anyone expected. Ships appeared in places the council never guarded. Small, fast human vessels slipped out from behind dead stars and dark nebulae. They used paths marked unusable for centuries because of gravity twists and radiation bursts. Council sensors missed them until too late. At the fuel depot orbiting the gas giant Kalor 3, a single human corvette named Shadowfang dropped from jump space. It fired one precise volley of kinetic rods. The rods punched through the depot armor like needles through cloth. Fuel tanks burst outward in silent fireballs. The station spun slow and broke apart. Pieces drifted toward the giant below, where they burned up in the thick clouds. No council warship arrived in time. The human ship jumped away before the first distress call finished sending. Similar attacks happened at the same moment across 12 systems. Relay stations vanished in flashes of light. Supply convoys carrying rare metals turned into expanding clouds of scrap. Shipyards on the edge of Renthal space lost their main assembly arms. Human ships did not stay to fight. They hit and ran. They left no messages, no taunts, no bodies floating as warnings, just empty space and broken machines. Admiral Kress received the reports in his flagship bridge. He stared at the hollow display that showed red dots spreading like blood on a map. He ordered full fleets to sortie. He said find them, hunt them down, burn their worlds if needed. His voice shook with rage. The council approved emergency powers. They released ancient dreadnoughts from storage. They woke sleeping weapon platforms. They thought numbers would win. A Vrenthal battle group of 5 heavy cruisers and 20 escorts found what looked like a prize. A lone human carrier drifted near a forgotten asteroid belt. The carrier sent no challenge. It broadcast nothing. The Vrenthal admiral on the lead ship smiled wide. He ordered tractor beams to lock. Surrender over open channel. He said your fight ends here. Come aboard in peace or die in pieces. The carrier answered with one short sentence. We do not do prisoners when the family is threatened. Then it lit up bright. Engines pushed it forward at full burn. The carrier rammed the lead dreadnought at high speed. The impact wave tore armor plates free and cracked the hull open. Fusion reactors on both ships went critical. 3 more Vrenthal cruisers caught in the blast radius lost shields and engines. They drifted helpless as escape pods launched in panic. Survivors from the wrecks told the same story later. The human carrier flew straight. No dodge, no fancy maneuvers, just a clean line of purpose. The pilot never tried to escape. No life signs registered after the crash. The council reviewed the footage many times. They saw no fear in the approach, no hesitation. It looked like a tool doing its job. Across the border zones, human hunter groups kept moving. They used tricks the council forgot existed. They mined hyperspace lanes with smart drones that waited silent until a ship passed, then exploded in tight patterns. They jammed comms with false signals that made council fleets chase ghosts. They boarded damaged vessels in zero gravity. Marines moved like shadows in black suits. They cut through bulkheads fast. They took data cores and left before reinforcements arrived. One boarding action became famous among council survivors. A human team entered a Cathara supply hauler. The Cathara had crystal guards that reformed after damage. The humans did not shoot to kill. They used sonic pulses that shattered crystal links. They moved room to room. They spoke calm over their own comms. One Marine said, "Keep it clean. We want the cargo, not the fight." They took the hauler intact and jumped away with holds full of rare isotopes. The Cathara crew woke later in escape pods, drifting safe but empty-handed. Panic grew in the council chamber on Vara Prime. Representatives watched live feeds of loss after loss. Sira the Lyran spoke first. She said, "They do not destroy worlds. They do not kill for joy. They break our ability to make war. They target what feeds the machine. They learned from their own history when others tried to starve them." Kress shouted back. He said, "Then we starve them. We blockade Sol. We cut every route. We crush their heart." The council voted yes. They sent the main fleet toward human space. 30 capital ships led by the newest Vrenthal super dreadnought named Eternal Flame. They carried weapons that could glass planets from orbit. They felt sure this show of force would end it. But humans did not wait at home. They met the fleet halfway in open space near the neutral zone. A small human force appeared, 30 frigates and a handful of carriers. They formed no tight wall, no grand line. They spread wide and loose. They danced around the big council ships like insects around giants. They fired missiles in waves. Some missiles carried false signatures that tricked sensors. Others exploded early and filled space with chaff that blinded targeting. The Eternal Flame fired its main cannon. It hit one human frigate dead center. The ship broke in half, but the rest kept moving. They closed in fast. Some human vessels rammed council escorts at full speed. Others launched boarding pods that stuck to hulls like burrs. Marines cut inside and took control bridges. One by one, council ships went dark. Their lights flickered out. Their engines stopped. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, half the council fleet drifted dead. The Eternal Flame burned from bow to stern. Human ships picked up their own escape pods. They left the rest. They sent no victory message. They jumped away clean. News reached Vara Prime fast. The chamber filled with stunned silence. An old Concord elder sent a thought that everyone felt. He said they fight not for land or gold. They fight because we made them fight. They see us as the threat now. We woke something old in them that sleeps under calm faces. Tira, the young Lyran aide, watched the battle recordings alone. She saw humans move in ways no council species did. They laughed on open channels while dodging fire. They sang songs from their old wars while boarding. They treated vacuum like home. They used tools the council banned as cruel. They used them without shame. She thought about the words from the broadcast. Humans are going to battle. Now she saw what those words meant. Not a parade of power, not a show of flags, just action. Cold, direct, final. They did what needed doing. No more, no less. On Earth, leaders watched the same feeds. They did not cheer loud. They nodded once. Generals spoke quiet. They said, "Keep the pressure steady. Do not push past the line yet. We show them cost, not destruction." A scientist added, "We learned long ago, Total war eats everyone. We want them to stop, not disappear. In the black between stars, human captains met on secure links. They shared data. They planned next moves. Knew the council still had strength. They knew more fights waited. But they felt ready. They trained for this since the day they left their cradle world. The galaxy watched now. No one slept easy. Every species remembered the ultimatum. Every species saw what followed when humans answered with silence, then with fire. The council learned a hard lesson. Young did not always mean weak. Quiet did not always mean fear. And when humans said they were going to battle the stars, themselves seemed to listen close. The war had only begun, but already the old peace looked broken forever. Losses piled up, faster than the council could count. Every day brought new reports of broken ships, lost stations, empty supply lines. The old powers felt something they had not felt in long ages. True surprise, mixed with growing fear. They thought humans would fight one big battle. They thought humans would gather fleets in open space for honor duels. Instead, humans spread everywhere, like smoke through cracks. They struck where no one looked. They vanished before anyone could chase. In the main council chamber above Vara Prime, the representatives gathered more often now. The air felt thick with worry. Lights stayed bright all cycles. No one slept well. Sira the Lyrant stood at the center table. She pulled up fresh scans. She showed the council what they missed for so long. Hidden yards under Mars' crust glowed with heat signatures. Sleeper bases in the Kuiper Belt launched fresh drones by thousands. Every human cargo ship carried extra plating and hidden gun mounts. Long before the ultimatum came, Kress the Vrenthal admiral stared at the images. His forearms hung loose for once. He said they never stopped building. They pretended to follow our rules. They smiled and nodded while they prepared for this day. He spoke low. His usual thunder voice cracked. A Cathara crystal being flashed dull gray colors of defeat. It hummed soft. It said we banned asymmetric war long ago. We called it uncivilized. We thought no one would use such things again. Humans kept the old ways. They never forgot. The council watched captured footage from a recent fight. A human marine squad boarded a drifting council frigate. The boarders moved in zero gravity like fish in water. They wore suits black as night. They carried blades and short pulse guns. They cut through locked doors fast. They spoke to each other in calm voices. One said left flank clear. Another said bridge in 30 seconds. They took the ship without wasting shots. They pulled data cores and left. The council crew woke. Later, in their own escape pods, none died. The humans showed mercy, but no kindness. They took what they needed and moved on. Interrogations gave more answers. A captured human marine sat in a bright cell. His visor cracked, but his grin stayed wide. The Kara questioner asked, "Why fight this way?" The marine laughed once. He said, "You made war into a game with rules and points. We learned war the hard way, on beaches full of blood, in trenches full of mud, in cities that burned for years. You banned the ugly parts. We kept them, because ugly wins when nice loses." The council replayed those words many times. They saw truth in them. Humans came from a world that punished weakness. They fought animals bigger than themselves. They fought weather that killed cities. They fought each other until whole lands turned to ash. Then they turned outward. They brought that same stubborn fire to the stars. The council thought tech would tame them. Instead, tech just gave them sharper teeth. The difference clear. A council fleet cornered what looked like a weak human convoy. 10 fat haulers guarded by only 4 escorts. The council admiral ordered full advance. He said, "Take them alive. Show the galaxy our mercy." The haulers opened bays and launched swarms. Thousands of small drones poured out. They moved in patterns too tight for big ships to track. They slammed into council cruisers like angry bees. They carried no warheads, just mass and speed at high fraction of light. Hulls crumpled, engines died, bridges filled with sparks. The 4 human escorts closed in while the drones distracted. They boarded the flagships. They took command decks in minutes. The Council fleet turned tail and ran for the first time in memory. Survivors told wild stories. Human pilots sang old battle songs over open channels while they dove through fire. Human marines treated space like solid ground. They pushed off walls. They spun around corners. They laughed when alarms screamed. The Council species fought from safe chairs with clean controls. Humans fought body to body, face to face. They enjoyed the chaos the Council feared. Tira, the young Lyran aide, spent nights studying human history files. She read about ancient wars on Earth. She saw images of metal beasts crawling over mud. She saw flying machines drop fire from sky. She saw cities rebuilt from rubble over and over. She understood now. Humans did not invent dirty tricks. They inherited them. They carried them like family treasures. The Council tried to erase such things from galactic law. Humans simply ignored the erasure. A final truth came from a defected Council analyst who studied human signals for cycles. He stood before the chamber, shaking. He said they fight for family, not for land, not for power, not for glory. When you threatened their people, you became the enemy to end. No debate, no middle ground. They see this as protection, pure and simple. They will stop when we stop. They will not stop before. The Council sat quiet after those words. Even Kress found no quick reply. He looked at the empty human podium. He remembered the faint smile on Ambassador Voss' face. Now that smile looked like warning. Now it looked like promise. On Earth, the war room stayed busy but calm. Leaders watched feeds from every front. They saw Council ships break. They saw human ships take hits and keep going. A general spoke soft. He said, "We show them the price. We do not burn worlds. We do not slaughter. We make sure they remember cost." A scientist nodded. She said, "Our people fight best when pushed. We push back hard enough to end threats. We pull back when threats end." In deep space, human captains met on tight beam links. They shared battle logs. They fixed plans. They laughed quiet at Council panic. They knew more work waited. They knew the Council still had reserves, but they felt the tide turn. They trained for generations to face bigger foes. Now the bigger foes learned fear. The galaxy changed slow but sure. Old stories of human weakness faded. New stories spread fast. Traders whispered in ports. Refugees carried tales. Homeworlds listened close. Every species started to see humans different. Not as newcomers, not as odd strangers. As something dangerous when awake. As something unstoppable when angry. The Council learned the hardest lesson of all. Never force a hand that waited patient. Never wake a sleeper that dreamed of war. Because when humans said they were going to battle, they meant every word. They meant it with ships, with blood, with unbreakable will. They meant it until the threat vanished clean, and the stars watched silent, knowing the old order bent now, knowing it might never straighten the same way again. 6 months passed since the first human strikes. The galaxy looked different now. Many Council worlds showed scars. Empty docking rings floated where proud shipyards once stood. Trade routes stayed quiet, because few dared travel. Broken hulls drifted in long orbits like silent warnings. The old peace felt thin and cracked. The Council fleet shrank with every battle. At first they lost small ships, then escorts, then whole squadrons. The super dreadnought Eternal Flame became a drifting wreck, its bridge empty, its guns cold. The Vrenthal lost their best admirals. Some died in fire, others vanished in boarding actions. The Kthara lost crystal mines that once linked whole fleets. Now those links stayed broken. The Lyrans dimmed their inner lights. Many refused to leave safe bunkers. The old Concord elders spoke less. Their thoughts came slow and heavy with sorrow. Human forces kept moving. They never pushed deep into Council core worlds. They stayed at the edges. They cut supply lines. They blocked jump points. They made every council move cost more than it gained. They showed patience like hunters waiting for prey to tire. No grand invasions, no cities turned to glass, no billions killed in rage. They fought smart. They fought clean by their own rules. They fought until the enemy could fight no more. In the chamber above Vara Prime, the remaining representatives met one last time. The circle looked half empty. Many seats stayed vacant forever. New faces filled some, but eyes looked haunted. Kress no longer stood tall. His armor showed dents. His voice stayed low. Sira spoke for many now. She said the war must end. We lose more each day. Our people suffer. Our worlds grow hungry. The council once ruled with soft words. Now those words carried no weight. An emergency signal arrived from the front lines. A human fleet appeared near the last major council shipyard at Nexus Verge. The yard built warships for centuries. Now it hung dark and still. Human ships circled it slow. They sent one broadcast. On every open channel. The voice belonged to Ambassador Elena Voss. She spoke calm and clear. She said, "We come to finish this. We offer one choice. Stop now. Pull back all forces. Lift all blockades on our space. Return to your borders. We will do the same. We seek no empire. We seek no revenge. We seek only safety for our people. Choose peace. Choose life. The choice belongs to you." The chamber listened in total quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. The words hung in the air like heavy smoke. Then the human fleet waited. They did not fire. They did not board. They simply held position. The council debated fast. Some wanted to fight on. Kress said, "We still have honor. We still have ships." A young Zin representative stood up. She said, "Honor dies with our children. Our children starve while we cling to pride. Let it end." The vote came quick. Most said yes. Only a few said no. The council sent the order. Stand down. All fleets return home. All weapons power off. Accept the human terms. Ships turned away. Engines cooled. Guns folded back into hulls. Crews looked at each other with tired relief. Human ships watched them go. They sent no chase. They sent no final shots. They waited until every council vessel crossed back into safe space. Then they turned toward home. A final broadcast went out from Earth. It came on every channel, clear and strong. A human leader spoke. He said, "We go home now. Do not follow. Do not test us again. The next time you threaten our people, we will not stop at your borders. We showed you what happens when humans go to battle. Remember it well." The message ended. No cheers, no threats, just quiet finality. On Vara Prime, the chamber lights dimmed low. The representatives sat in silence for many minutes. Then one by one, they left. Some walked slow, some leaned on others. The orbital station felt empty. The galaxy outside looked the same, yet nothing stayed the same. Tira, the young Lyran aide, stayed behind. She walked to the empty human podium. Smooth surface. She remembered the first meeting. She remembered the short words from Ambassador Voss. She remembered the faint smile. Now she understood that smile. It carried no hate. It carried certainty. It carried the knowledge that humans would finish what others started. Far away, human ships jumped toward Sol. Carriers opened bays and took in fighters. Frigates powered down weapons. Cruisers turned lights green again. Crews cleaned decks. They laughed quiet. They told stories of close calls. They looked forward to home. Some would see families. Some would rest. Some would train again just in case. No one doubted the need to stay ready. On Earth, cities lit up bright. People walked streets and flew in skies. They heard the news. They hugged each other. They cried happy tears. They knew the fight ended. They knew their people came back whole. Leaders met in open halls. They spoke of rebuilding. They spoke of new alliances. They spoke of lessons learned. They kept the fire banked, but never out. The council world started to heal slowly. Ships carried food again. Trade ships moved carefully. Trade deals wrote new rules. Everyone watched human space from far away. No one sent scouts too close. No one tested borders. The legend grew fast. In every port, in every school, in every home, people told the story. They spoke of the day the council issued an ultimatum. They spoke of the silence that followed. They spoke of the broadcast that said humans are going to battle. They spoke of small ships that struck like lightning. They spoke of marines who moved like shadows. They spoke of carriers that rammed without fear. They spoke of a people who fought not for glory, but for family. An old Lyran teacher stood before young students one day. He said, "Never corner a human." He said, when they say they go to battle, they mean every word. They mean it with every ship, every soldier, every heart. They do not bluff. They do not fold. They finish. The students listened wide-eyed. They remembered the stories. They carried them forward. Years later, when children asked why the galaxy stayed calm, elders answered simple. They said, because we learned. We learned what happens when humans go to battle. We learned to choose words careful. We learned to choose peace first. The stars stayed quiet. The old council chamber still floated above Vara Prime. Lights still glowed soft, but the circle never filled the same way again. Empty seats reminded everyone. Empty seats told the tale better than words. And somewhere in the black, a human ship sailed toward new horizons. Its captain looked at distant lights and smiled small. The war ended. The peace held, because humans showed the galaxy what they could do when pushed. And the galaxy never forgot. Never test humans when they say they are going to battle, because they always mean it.